Okay, if everybody would gather together. Hope everybody had a good lunch. We're on a tight schedule this afternoon. We appreciate Congressman Fleischmann taking part of his afternoon to be with us. He has to rush back and do some voting here for us. A couple things I'd like to say, Congressman. This group's got together. It's the first time we've had our contractors together, ECA together, Department of Energy, in this type of a conference. This morning we heard a lot of success stories. Success stories at Oak Ridge, of course, which you represent, Hanford, Los Alamos, the Savannah River, and other sites across the nation. So this has been a conference, as I've said there, it's a conference of success. So we hope you can continue with that action, and we know you're working for us. Congressman Fleischmann took office in 2011. He was born in New York, but we're glad you came down to Tennessee in '87. He and his wife started a law practice down in Chattanooga. He was a former president of the Bar Association. He lives in Ottawa. He has 3 children. Of course, he's on the House Committee on Appropriations. So, yay, that's the reason we've got you here, brother. He's on a number of other committees, labor subcommittees, energy and water. Again, while you're here, you're chair of that. Labor, health, human services, homeland security. The caucuses, of course, the nuclear cleanup caucus, you chair that. So again, appreciate what you do for DOE, for our contractors, our communities, and we appreciate your leadership in our community back in Oak Ridge, Chattanooga area, and up the valley there. I had to make it short. He's got to run. He's got to do some voting for us, we hope. Help me welcome our congressman, a friend of mine, a friend of DOE, a friend of DOE communities, and a friend of our contractors, Chuck Fleischmann. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Woody, and what a wonderful introduction. And as I always tell people, the great city of Oak Ridge is in 2 great counties, Anderson and Roane County, and you do a great job as Roane County Mayor. I thank you. Well, welcome, everyone. It's great to be with you all. The only impediment I have on me today is time, because we have votes at about 1:15. That, and I played football this morning, and I'm a little bit gimped. But it's great to be with you all. Let me go a little bit backwards to forwards. This week, we are going to have our 4th and final Nuclear Cleanup Caucus meeting, and I am so excited. We had to stop registration. We had 200 people come out for that. It has been incredible. I know I'll see many of you all there. Thank you for your participation in that caucus. It is near and dear to me, and I'm going to talk about that, but that's truly going to be outstanding. Wanted to talk briefly about some of the things that are going on right now in Congress and what my focus is, but mainly to thank you all. Nuclear cleanup is something that I'm very passionate about. Obviously, I represent a site. The great city of Oak Ridge has a legacy there, and has a legacy really across the campus. We're cleaning up things at OR&L, and we're going to be cleaning up things at Y12, and the great work by UCOR at ETTP and their successes. But as we clean up, we reclaim. But I learned very quickly that we've got legacy sites literally all over the country. And what that means is we need funding to do these legacy sites, whether it's Oak Ridge, Hanford, Portsmouth, you name it. We've got to clean up these sites. And I think that's something that is a federal obligation. Why? Because let's face it, we won World War II, basically, doing the work that we did. We won the Cold War during the work that we did, but we were not in that era as careful as we should have been. And we're going to get these things cleaned up, but it will take decades, and it will take persistent work on the part of you all and us. I want to talk about the need for cooperation. First, let me thank Secretary Moniz. I know he was here today. I would have been here today earlier, but I had a conference meeting. We have another one tonight. Obviously, we're going through a leadership race, CR issues, keeping the government open. There's a lot going on. But Ernie Moniz is passionate about nuclear cleanup. He and I have had that conversation, and I really appreciate the work that DOE has done in its endeavors. Sue does a great job at our site, but I know across the different sites, DOE is a key partner. Another key partner are the contractors. Many of you all are contractors here today. Thank you. Thank you for the job that you do. Thank you for cleaning up our communities. And this is something that is so important, and this is why the Nuclear Cleanup Caucus is critically important. Let me tell you why. Right now, it's no surprise that things are contentious in Congress. Republicans and Democrats disagree on so many key issues. Sometimes that's even within the House, sometimes it's within the Senate, sometimes it's between the administration and Congress. I get that. But the caucuses are a tremendous asset. And let me tell you why. It provides a venue in which the most conservative Republican and the most liberal Democrat can come together and work together for nuclear cleanup. And the cooperation is tremendous. And you've seen that at our 3 previous meetings. So it's very important. So I'm going to ask you all, if you live or work in an affected site, whether that's Oak Ridge or anywhere it may be, insist that your member of Congress come to these meetings. It's so important. Last time I had 7 members from affected sites come, and what do they see? They see a room full of people. Now, Doc did a tremendous job when he created the Nuclear Cleanup Caucus, and I thank him so much. But when he left Congress, I said, I want a little bit of a different focus. I didn't want a site-specific meeting focus. I wanted to make sure at every meeting we had people from all the sites. Why? Because we can learn from one another. That's part of the cooperation. So to the contractors, to DOE, and to those from the communities who are affected, thank you so much for advocating for nuclear cleanup. We need to hear from you. I will do my job, my heavy lifting on the Appropriations Committee. And yes, I'm on Energy and Water, and I'm the vice chairman of that, and it's so critically important for all we do, not only at Oak Ridge, but across the country. But nuclear cleanup needs to be a national priority. It's good paying jobs, it's good for the community, and it's critically important. And the Oak Ridge example is so shining, that when we clean up a site, we reclaim it and bring it back into the community. That is so critically important. So to all of you, thank you very much for your advocacy. I see Mayor Frank, my gosh, over there. Good to see you. Mayor of Anderson County. I was talking about Roane. Good to see you, Your Honor. Thank you for being here. It's all about local, state, and federal folks working together, business and labor working together. And I think really this is something that I can talk about with my brethren in the House and the Senate about working together to get things done. With that, I've got time for a few questions. Doesn't anybody want to know what's going to happen this week? I knew Billy would have a question. Our good friends from Energy Solutions. Good. How are you, Billy?
Fine, Congressman. So what do you think the prospects are for a full year CR?
Full year CR right now, no. Probably short-term CR to about December-ish, and that may be more beneficial, Billy, for this reason. This is what our hope is. First of all, that we keep the government open. That is very important, and it looks like we're going to probably do that. There are a lot of dynamics that have been at work right in the middle of a contested leadership struggle that just happened last week, but job one is to keep the government open and funded and the like. If there is a short-term CR to mid-December, then what we can do is so important. The House and the Senate sit down and maybe come up with some type of an omnibus agreement that the administration would be comfortable with. And that would allow us to address our key funding needs, not only in EM, but also across the board. The needs change in government. Let's face it. They change in our communities. They change in our lives. They change in our businesses. They change in the government model. So what works one year is not necessarily what you're going to need in the next year. Sometimes you're going to need some plus-ups. Other questions? Yes, sir. Tell us who you are.
Jim Gallagher. As you indicated, the necessary funding for the EM program and DOE work is going to take several or many decades. And I was just curious, with the deficit approaching $20 trillion, would that have any impact on the future funding for these type of programs, in your opinion?
It's an excellent question. I'm going to give you the short version. The answer is yes. What's driving our national debt? 2/3 of the national debt are mandatory spending programs. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, interest on the national debt. Things that are really squeezing the 1/3 discretionary size of the budget. Our chairman, Hal Rogers, came to Congress in 1980. At that time, 1/3 of the federal budget was mandatory. 2/3 was discretionary. So as the mandatory programs continue to put pressure on the discretionary side, that's where we're going to basically have to fight to prioritize funding. And that's why you all are so important to advocate in your communities, to your members, that EM funding is critically important, and that I think it is a federal role to play, a critical federal role to play. What do I think we need? If we could ever get something done in this country, some agreement on mandatory spending, some reforms on mandatory spending, so that we could actually free up some more dollars for discretionary spending, it would not only be good for EM, it would be good for defense and other key things that we really need to start spending money on in this country. Thank you. Great question. Maybe time for one more. Leo's going to ask for $19 million, right? Okay. Only 20. Okay. Okay, in the back.
Hi, Congressman. Mike Narker. I now work for EM, but I had a question.
Good.
Your time in the leading the cleanup caucus now, have you seen a willingness among the other members that represent cleanup sites to kind of come together and work for the benefit of the cleanup program as a whole, kind of the rising tide lifts all boats, or is there still more of a site-by-site focus? And if it's the latter, how do you work to get past that, to unify the various members that represent cleanup sites?
Thank you. By virtue of the fact that we have 200 people, we've had a closed registration to this caucus meeting, shows you that we've created, Helen Hardin and I have created a tremendous demand and a new revived optimism about EM. I mean, it is electric, which is great, and it needs to be. It needs to be at the forefront, because when you go out and you talk to constituents about nuclear legacy cleanup, the average person might say, well, gosh, I don't know if I can really get that excited about it. Well, I can tell you this. The members are excited about it. I'm excited about it. It's good business for America. It's great for the communities. The way I think we need to address it, and I will tell you this, I've heard from some of the members that they are particularly upset about their individual side perhaps not getting enough attention. The best way to do that is to join the caucus, advocate for more spending, get that pie bigger so that when we're competing for that pie, that there's more dollars there to address the needs of the specific sites. The other thing that we can do is if there's somebody from a specific site that has an issue, as we advocate for that as a caucus in a very strong bipartisan way, we can actually help that member perhaps through that very difficult situation. It's very difficult to stand alone on any issue in Congress, and there's just more strength in numbers. Well, with that, I want to say thank you very much. I hope to see many of you all at the Cleanup Caucus. If I can leave you with this, continue to work hard, work tirelessly, make sure that you get your members active, let them know about what you're doing, and cooperate. The key is cooperation. I think I have seen more cooperation in EM than in any other thing that the federal government, the state government, and the federal governments do, and with our contractors. You're all a key part of the solution. So thank you very much. Wish you the best. Have a great day.